Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. My name is Danito Alfarez. You can call me Dani. In this video, I will explain about my assignment entitled Project Reading. The first article is titled Frankenstein. Important information in the article. Frankenstein books tell that Frankenstein was abandoned by the scientists who created him, and the all humans he made were cruel to him without reason. Frankenstein will only become vengeful in he has been treated cruelly and harshly by others. The novel also describes imaginary science experiment and their effect, and therefore many people refer to it as the first science fiction book or the beginning of science fiction as a genre. The story itself is fantastic and abstract, but the issues is talked about are simple and universal, can be interpreted as a metaphor for family relationship and regimes, as a critic of the science or a critic of religions. Obstacle or a challenge faced when reading articles made me a little confused about the plot and storyline, and the rest was nice to read. His article is interesting or uninteresting. Yes, because the flow of reading the text does not make monotonous, and the readers will not become bored when reading it. The second article is titled Before Harry There Was Alice. Important information in the article. It tells the story of Alice in the Wonderland and the chaotic world of Wonderland, with the charming Mad Hatter and the terrifying Queen of Hearts who love to shout for people to be beheaded. The authors tells Alice's story using poetry as well, but authors love to play with language, and J.K. Rowling used Latin the absolute words. Obstacle or challenge faced when reading articles. The story didn't confuse me when I read it, and the whole story was good. This article is interesting on or uninteresting. Interesting because it tells about Alice's journey in the world in her world. The third article is titled War Horse. War Horse, War Horse is during the World War and follow the life of the soldiers fighting on the front lines, as well as ordinary citizens whose life has have been turned upside down by war. What makes it special is that Joey, the narrator, is actually a horse. Another main character is Alfie, Joe's best friend and owner, who watches helplessly as Joey is sold to the British Army. There Joey joined million of other men and horses in one of the most devastating conflicts in the modern European history. Obstacle or challenge faced when reading articles. There are there are no significant difficulties, and the most of the stories are easy to understand and not saturated when reading the story. This article is interesting or are uninteresting. Yes, because the story takes place during the First World War, and the special thing is that the narrator is a horse. The fourth article are entitled The Legend Fairies. Important information in the article. They are little magical people with wings, often shining with light, usually beautiful and female, like Tinkerbell in Peter Pan. Fairies usually is their magic to the small things and are mostly friendly with humans. Obstacle or challenge faced when reading article. It has no significant difficulty and can still be read comfortably. Comfortable. His article is interesting or uninteresting. Interesting because it tells the story of fairies because they are kind little creature who likes to help. The fifth article entitled Asteroids. NASA has identified and not that 90% of near Earth asteroids are 1 kilometer wide and within 15 million kilometers of Earth orbit. Obstacle or challenge faced when reading article. It didn't have any significant difficulty, and the story told int- intrigued me because it was about space. This article is interesting or uninteresting. Yes, because it ex- it explained about NASA who conducted a search that finally found a large asteroid that was near Earth orbit. The sixth article entitled Star Wars and the Hero Myths. Important information in the article. The hero initially rejects the call for adventure, but a mentor appears who help them and they decide to cross the threshold and travel to the special world where the adventure takes place. Obstacle or a challenge faced when reading articles. It has no significant difficulty and can still be read comfortably. This article is interesting or uninteresting. Yes, because the story is very serious because it it tells the story of a hero who will travel to a special world. The seventh article entitled The History of Graffiti. The first image on the walls appeared in cave thousands of years ago. Modern graffiti seems to have appeared in Philadelphia in the early 1916, and by the late 60s it has reached New York. This new art form really took off in the 1970s when people started writing their names or signs on buildings all over the city. For the size graffiti has been a stepping stone to international fame for some. Even graffiti is now sometimes big business. Obstacle or challenge faced when reading articles. The story didn't confuse me when I read it, and the whole story was good. This article is interesting or uninteresting. Yes, because the story explains about how the early development of graffiti art from the cave era or ancient to graffiti became a big business area. The eighth article entitled Kevin's Car tells the story of a boy named Kevin who loves car. Kevin did not get permission from his parents to own a car. But his effort, Kevin was finally able to build a large toy sport car and show it to his parents. Obstacle or challenge faced when reading articles. Do not experience significant obstacle or difficult when reading it. His article is interesting or uninteresting. Yes, because the story is not boring and does not saturate the can increase our creative intention. And the last article entitled the Ant and the Grasshopper tells the story of two insects, namely grasshopper and ant, then that will face winter and are very diligent and eager to find food for the winter, so that their food supply is sufficient during the winter, while the locust is only lazy and does not look for food for its supplies during the winter. Obstacle or challenge faced when reading article. Did not encounter such a difficult obstacle. His article is interesting or uninteresting. Yes, because the story teach about effort and hard work and also tells about the consequence if we are too lazy. So, so the delivery of my assignment is there is our error. Please forgive me. See you, see you next time and goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.